Hello, welcome to Story Time. My name is Lee and I am one of the librarians here in the children's section of the community library, and I do story time. Right now I'm filming it every week, so instead of doing it live, but I do miss you guys very much and I look forward to when we can get together and do story time in person. But for right now I'm going to film it and you can watch it at home. So thank you for joining me. Today we're doing something a little bit different. Well, first of all, I'm in a different room than usual. I am in the toddler room. And this is a little room we have at the library with board books for little people. And this is a great room. And usually they're toys, but not right now. But we'll get them out again and puzzles and things like that. So I thought I'd do something different, and here I am instead of the treehouse today. So what we're doing today is I am going to be reading 3 books that are the same but different. I'm reading 3 different versions of Goldilocks and the 3 Bears. So I hope that you enjoy it. They're all a little bit different and they're kind of fun. So I thought that that might be a fun, different way to do story time. So the first book that I am going to read is called Goldilocks and the 3 Bears, and it is written, retold, and illustrated by James Marshall. It is printed by Dial Books for young readers. All right, and it won the Caldecott, which is this, which says that the illustrations were really good. They're very silly illustrations, I think. All right, let's get started. Once upon a time, there was a little girl called Goldilocks. What a sweet child, said someone new in town. That's what you think, said a neighbor. One morning, Goldilocks' mother sent her to buy muffins in the next village. You must promise not to take the shortcut through the forest, she said. I've heard that bears live there. I promise, said Goldilocks. But to tell the truth, Goldilocks was one of those naughty little girls who do exactly as they please. Look at that. Shortcut. Danger. Very risky. Oh my gosh, she's not listening. Meanwhile, in the clearing, deeper inside the forest, in a charming house all their own, a family of brown bears was sitting down to breakfast. "Pa-tooey!" cried big old Papa Bear. "This porridge is scalding. I burned my tongue." "I'm dying," cried little baby bear. "Not really," said Mama Bear, who was of medium size. "That's quite enough." "I know," said Papa Bear. "Why don't we go for a spin while the porridge is cooling?" "Excellent," said Mama Bear. So they got on their rusty old bicycle and off they went. Tra-la-la-la-la. A few minutes later, Goldilocks arrived at the bear's house. She walked right in without even bothering to knock. She is so rude. Can you believe it? On the dining room table were 3 inviting bowls of porridge. "I don't mind if I do," said Goldilocks, helping herself to the biggest bowl. But the porridge in the biggest bowl was much too hot. "Pa-tooey!" cried Goldilocks, and she spat it out. Next she tasted the porridge in the medium-sized bowl, but that porridge was much too cold. Then Goldilocks tasted the porridge in the little bowl, and it was just right, neither too hot nor too cold. In fact, she liked it so much that she gobbled it all up. Feeling full and satisfied, Goldilocks thought it would be great fun to have a look around. Right away she noticed lots of coarse brown fur everywhere. "They must have kitty cats," she said. In the parlor, there were 3 chairs. "I don't mind if I do," she said, climbing into the biggest one. But the biggest chair was much too hard, and she just couldn't get comfortable. Next, she sat in the medium-sized chair, but that chair was much too soft, and she thought she might never get out again. Then Goldilocks sat in the little chair, and it was just right, neither too hard nor too soft. In fact, she liked it so much that she rocked and rocked and rocked until the chair fell completely to pieces. Now all that rocking left Goldilocks quite tuckered out. I could take a little snooze, she said. So she went to look for a comfy place to nap. Upstairs were 3 beds. I don't mind if I do, said Goldilocks. And she got into the biggest one. But the head of the biggest bed was much too high. Next, she tried the medium-sized bed, but the head of that bed was much too low. Then Goldilocks tried the little bed, and it was just right. Soon she was all nice and cozy and sound asleep. She did not hear the bears come home. Uh-oh. The 3 bears were mighty hungry, but when they went in for breakfast, they could scarcely believe their eyes. "Somebody has been in my porridge," said Papa Bear. "Somebody has been in my porridge," said Mama Bear. "Somebody has been in my porridge," said Baby Bear, "and eaten it all up." In the parlor, the 3 bears were in for another little surprise. "Somebody has been sitting in my chair," said Papa Bear. "Somebody has been sitting in my chair," said Mama Bear. "Somebody's been sitting in my chair," said Baby Bear, "and it's broken to smithereens." The 3 bears went upstairs on tiptoe, not knowing what they would discover. At first everything seemed fine, but then Papa Bear lay down on his big brass bed. "Somebody has been lying in my bed," he cried, and he was not amused. "Egads," cried Mama Bear, "somebody has been lying in my bed." "Look," cried Baby Bear, "somebody has been lying in my bed, and she's still there." "Now see here," roared Papa Bear. Goldilocks woke up with a start and her eyes nearly popped out of her head. But before the bears could demand a proper explanation, Goldilocks was out of bed, out the window, and on her way home. "Who was that little girl?" asked Baby Bear. "I have no idea," said Mama Bear, "but I hope I never see her again." And they never did. The end. It's kind of a good story. So that's the first Goldilocks and the 3 bears, and that's kind of that's sort of the traditional story of Goldilocks and the 3 bears. So now we're going to read a couple that are a little bit different. So the first different one we're going to read is called Goldilocks and the 3 Dinosaurs, and it is retold and illustrated by Mo Willems. And it is published by HarperCollins. Oh my gosh, look at Goldilocks right there. Okay, here we go. Once upon a time, there were 3 dinosaurs. Papa Dinosaur, Mama Dinosaur, and some other dinosaur who happened to be visiting from Norway. One day, for no particular reason, the 3 dinosaurs made up their beds, positioned their chairs just so, and cooked 3 bowls of delicious chocolate pudding at varying temperatures. "Oh boy," said Papa Dinosaur in his loud, booming voice, "it's finally time to leave and go to the, someplace else." "Hee hee hee! Yes," continued Mama Dinosaur. "I sure hope no innocent little succulent child happens by our unlocked home while we're, someplace else." Then the other dinosaur made a loud noise that sounded like a big, evil laugh. but was probably just a polite Norwegian expression. Ha 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 ha! The three dinosaurs went someplace else and were definitely not hiding in the woods, waiting for some unsuspecting child to come by. Sure enough, 5 minutes later, a poorly supervised little girl named Goldilocks came traipsing along. Just then, the forest boomed with what could have been a dinosaur yelling, "Gotcha!" But I'm pretty sure it was just the wind. The loud noise was immediately followed by another loud noise that sounded kind of like, "Be patient, Papa Dinosaur, the trap is not yet sprung." But that could have been a rock falling or a squirrel. Either way, Goldilocks was not the type of little girl who listened to anyone or anything. For example, Goldilocks never listened to warnings about the dangers of barging into strange, enormous houses. So, as soon as Goldilocks came across a strange, enormous house, she barged right in. This says, "Welcome, he he he." Inside, Goldilocks immediately smelled the 3 bowls of delicious chocolate pudding. Said Goldilocks, "that chocolate pudding smells delicious. If only I could get all the way up to the top of that counter." Then Goldilocks noticed a very tall ladder that just happened to be there and was certainly wasn't left on purpose. Goldilocks climbed up the ladder and found herself face to face with 3 gigantic bowls of chocolate pudding. The first bowl of chocolate pudding was too hot, but Goldilocks ate it anyway because, hey, it's chocolate pudding, right? The second bowl of chocolate pudding was too cold, but who cares about temperature anyway when you've got a big bowl of chocolate pudding? Not her. Look at that, she stuck her whole head in it. The third bowl of chocolate pudding was just right, but Goldilocks was on such a roll that she hardly noticed. 3 bowls of chocolate pudding. Whew, I bet she's full. Soon Goldilocks was stuffed like one of those delicious chocolate-filled little girl bonbons, which, by the way, are totally not the favorite things in the whole world for hungry dinosaurs. Tired and groggy, Goldilocks noticed 3 chairs in the living room. So she climbed down the ladder and walked out of the kitchen. The first chair was too tall. The second chair was too tall. But the third chair was too tall. Goldilocks wasn't going to climb that high just to sit in some chair, so she hiked over to the bedroom. When she got there, Goldilocks noticed that the beds were also gigantically big. "What is going on around here?" groaned the exhausted girl. "The bears that live here must be nuts." Just then, the room filled with a loud booming noise that was either a passing truck or a dinosaur gloating. "A few more minutes and she'll be asleep. Delicious chocolate-filled little girl bonbons are yummier when they're rested." Even a little girl who never listens to anyone or anything had to hear that. Goldilocks took a minute to stop and think, which was longer than she was used to stopping and thinking. "Hey," she told herself, "this isn't some bear's house. This is some dinosaur's house." Say what you like about Goldilocks, but she was no fool. As quickly as she could, she ran out the back door and got out of there. Just then, a loud plane flew by, which sounded pretty much like a trio of dinosaurs yelling, "Now!" or "Charge!" or their Norwegian expression for "chewy bonbon time." Suddenly, and completely coincidentally, the 3 dinosaurs rushed through the front door, but they were too late. Goldilocks was gone, and all that was left in the house were 3 disappointed dinosaurs. The end. Or is it? And the moral is, if you ever find yourself in the wrong story, leave. There's Goldilocks going to torment those 3 bears. And the moral for the dinosaurs is lock the back door. The end. That's kind of silly. That is a very silly Goldilocks version. All right, so I've got one more. And this one is called Goldilocks and Just One Bear. Let's see how this one works out. I'm kind of curious. Once upon a time, there was this bear. One minute, he was strolling in the woods, all happy-go-lucky. The next minute, he didn't have a crumb of a clue where he was. He was one completely lost bear. The bear didn't much like this place. Too many bright lights and not enough twigs, too much loud honking and beeping, and not nearly enough owl hooting. The bear was also a teeny tiny bit scared, and his furry legs were slightly wobbly. Maybe the thing to do, said the bear, looking around, is to pop into Snooty Towers and get away from this terrible racket. But the revolving door at Snooty Towers made the bear dizzy, and being dizzy with wobbly legs was bad news. What the bear needed was a little rest. A little rest somewhere would definitely make things right. Looks like he's taking the elevator upstairs. The bear peeked through a door and thought how very pleasant it was up here. Not nasty and noisy like down there, said the bear. Just the place for a little rest. All that whooshy traveling was certainly a hungry business. But before his little rest, a little porridge seemed like a good idea. This porridge is too soggy. Is he eating porridge? I think he's eating from the fishbowl. This porridge is too crunchy. This porridge is a bit on the dry side, but it is better than nothing. So he ate up all of that. I don't think that's porridge though. Now the bear was ready for his little rest. This chair is too ouchy. Huh? This chair is too noisy. This chair is just right. A little rest is nice, but what the bear needed to really feel like himself again was a good old-fashioned nap in a comfy bed. This bed is too frothy. This bed is too pink. This bed is just right. And soon he nodded off. The bear dreamed of crunching through leaves. The bear dreamed of puttering around in his slippers. The bear dreamed of a voice shouting very loudly. Somebody has been eating from my fishbowl, said the daddy person. Somebody has been eating my dear little pumpkin's kitty nibbles, said the mommy person. And somebody has been eating my toast, said the little person. And they've eaten it all up. Unfortunately, the bear was not dreaming at all. He was wide awake and back in real life. Somebody has squished my cactus, said the daddy person. Somebody has upset my dear little pumpkin, said the mommy person. And somebody has popped my beanbag chair, said the little person. Somebody has been sleeping in my bath, said the daddy person. "Somebody has been sleeping in my bed," said the mommy person. "Shh," whispered the little person. "I think somebody is sleeping in my bed right now." The bear peeked out from under the covers to see a daddy person, a mommy person, and a little person standing right there. The bear thought that the mommy person looked ever so slightly familiar, and the mommy person thought that gobbling other people's breakfast, breaking other people's stuff, and snoozing in other people's beds seemed ever so slightly familiar too. And it was. "Baby bear," said the mommy person. "Goldilocks," said the bear. They hadn't seen each other in ages. "Porridge?" asked Goldilocks. The bear nodded. So Goldilocks cooked up a big bowl and plunked it in front of him. It was not too hot. It was not too cold. It was just right. It made the bear almost forget about that once upon a time when Goldilocks had behaved so badly. This little bear would never dream of doing anything like that. And although it had been good to see Goldilocks living so happily ever after with those charming people, the bear decided it was time to go back home to the woods. And that's the last picture. And that's the end. This is written and illustrated by Lee Hodgkinson, and it's put out by Candlewick Press. All right, so those are our 3 Goldilocks and the 3 bears, or kind of like that stories. I hope you enjoyed those. So I have a craft here at the library, or you can do it at home, and you can come in and pick it up, and I will show you what it is. So it's this little packet right here, and it's the 3 bears size and sorting game. So there are 3 bears. So I've got large Lucy, medium Milo, and small Sam. And what you do is you can decorate and color the bears if you want, and then you cut them out. And what you do is you go through your house and you find things that are small, medium, and large. And you start sorting them, and there are directions that you get. So, for example, large Lucy has a large book. Small Sam has a small book. And medium Milo has a medium book. You can do it with shoes, with clothes, with buttons, all sorts of things. And it's good because you learn small, medium, and large, and that's an important thing to know. So I hope that you enjoyed our story time today, talking about small, medium, and large with Goldilocks and the dinosaurs or the bears or the people. It was great to have you here. Thank you so much, and I will see you next week.